right. Well, on the contrary, I think I have a little rebuttal for the video game movie
Mm-hmm.
adaptation style. I think there is a certain style of games that can be wonderfully adapted into a film. If we will look at the recent success of Sonic the Hedgehog, you know what
Oh
I'm
yeah.
saying? And then also, if we want to look at, most people won't claim that it's a video game movie, but it is Detective Pikachu. Pokemon is
Man.
based on a video game, not the cartoon,
Woo!
not the cards. It is a video game first, not a manga. It's a video game
Yes.
first, then
Okay.
everything else.
Let's
So you
get it.
got,
Let's
let's
get
get
it.
it. We got these mascot games. We got Mario, Star Fox, Sonic,
Star Fox.
Pokemon.
Oh man.
Uh, you know what
Star
I'm saying?
Fox.
Right. You got these. You got these titles of games where the story is not primarily the focus. It's the gameplay, it's the characters, it's the music, it's
Yes.
the aesthetic. It's you feel decompressed, so you feel challenged, but you're not driven to know why is Doctor Robotnik after Sonic. You don't you don't give a flying fuck. You
Fact.
just want to be Doctor Robotnik.
Nobody gave a fuck about Andros.
Right, right, man.
All I
Right.
wanted to do was blow that motherfucker up, man. But yeah, keep cooking, bro.
Right. So you got these mascot kind of games, platforming games or whatever, where they can translate well to an hour and a half, 2 hour film easy, because the
Mm-hmm.
storyline is not the emphasis. The storyline is not the most important part. It's the character, it's the gameplay, it's the aesthetics of it all that makes you want to revisit that game title over and over and over again. And I think, I know there's a lot of people are excited over a possibility of a Super Smash Cinematic Universe of Detective Pikachu and Sonic, and they've developed later on Mario or whatever. In hindsight, is that a real possibility? No.
No.
Is it a cool idea for something like that to happen? Yeah, of course. But I think that CGI animation, CGI capture with real life people would definitely work with these kind of games that are catered more towards gameplay rather than story. Something like,
I agree.
Yoshi, Donkey Kong Country. Come on, man. Two guys go in the
Yeah.
jungle and fucking Donkey Kong is just tricking the shit out of them for an hour and a half or whatever, and they
Yeah.
gotta team up and beat King K. Rool. I mean, come on,
Right.
man.
And okay, so you seen Detective Pikachu, right?
I did, yeah.
So would you say objectively was Detective Pikachu inspired by Who Framed Roger Rabbit?
Oh yeah, definitely. And I know it's based on the game Detective Pikachu, but for the aesthetics of the film, it was clearly inspired by Who Framed Roger Rabbit, made in
Certified classic, by the way.
certified classic, underrated, I think, in regards of what that film did to filmography and cinema in general. That shit was almost a cartoon Infinity War before Infinity War was a thing. But yeah, I digress. But yeah, Detective Pikachu, solid film, brought the characters to life. A little cheesiness with Ryan Reynolds
That's okay.
being Pikachu. It's okay. It's a children's film made for everybody, but it did its thing. And then Sonic came through, and that did its thing, and that became the highest grossing video game opener of all time in the box office. So there is room to grow. And then Sega wants to do, looking at potential other Sega titles for adapting into movies. So I think that definitely is something that people can. I mean, they already kind of did it with Angry Birds, right? Am I right or wrong? They did it with Angry
Yeah,
Birds.
that
It
shit
was
was
not
trash.
made for us. It's trash, but
But you're
the
right.
kids
You're
love.
right. You're
It
right.
made money. I think they made two or three of them, something like that. Cutesy fur, more cartoony characters, I think could translate well to an hour and a half film on screen if done properly, if done where it's made for everyone and not just kids, where it can has elements where fans can be happy, your average moviegoer can be happy, and the target demographic of a young child can be happy watching this film together.
With that being said, then, okay, Super Mario Brothers, right? Do you think that the right way to approach that live action? Because Super Mario Brothers is definitely gonna. It has to be in a movie theater. Has to. There's too much respect and there's too much legacy for that particular property to not be in a movie theater. But is that something that you think is live action, or does that have to be CGI? Does that have to be an animated style Pixar type looking movie, or can you do it live action?
I think you do it live action. Hear me out.
Mm,
You do it
mm.
live action with a Guardians of the Galaxy style visualization where you have humans, aliens, the toads can be CGI, Toadettes, Koopas. If you can make the creatures kind of Sonic and that kind of quality, and have Mario and Luigi be a real actor in person, I think you can mesh it a little bit better than just the dark dystopian future that it was the original, and kind of bridge it with a modern sensibility. I mean, you already have films like Journey to the End of the Earth. I think that kind of visual style and like the Mushroom Kingdom, and you can have like maybe a comedic actor. I think that could kind of work to fill in the
Yep,
role of that. I think that would blend well nicely because Donkey Kong essentially would work the same way.
my man. Oh my God! Imagine the live action Mario movie, right?
Right.
And we get the fucking Donkey Kong cameo.
Donkey Kong Jr. with the original Cranky Kong as Donkey Kong in that, like in a cage as a
That's just the
setup for Donkey Kong the movie. Like they just in there in the cage, mind
that's
you.
just
You know what I'm
that's
saying?
just the
Oh,
cameo, man. We
that's just
just
a
get the
cameo.
stuff, man. Listen, bro. Like I'm
And then we
see,
kick
and
off the Super Smash cinematic universe, bro.
like no, because I get what you're saying. I see what you're saying now. Okay, in relation to the video games that are more focused on storyline and everything like that, live action movie adaptation doesn't work, right?
Mm-mm.
The reason why a Hitman movie doesn't work is because it doesn't give enough time for us to care or believe that the world they live in is one that's realistic, right? But a Star Fox live action movie can work because of the things that you said there. The focus of Star Fox was always to get to the end of the level.
Right.
Focus of Super Mario Brothers is always to get to the end of the next level. There's room
Mm-hmm.
there without having to stick to an established script, quote unquote.
I mean, we just talked about it. It's so simple to mesh that together. I mean, those games are like they're timeless, and
Mm-hmm.
they are untapped. They're literally untapped material in terms of for pitches for television, and untapped potential for pitches for movies that everyone's so scared to touch it. And I get that video games is different. Video games different than novels, different than comic books, because a comic book, the emphasis is the story with the art, right? With the game,
Yep.
with a video game, the gameplay has to come first. You can have the best story in the world. The game is shitty. No one's gonna want to hear your story out. You know what I'm saying? So I get that. Video games is a little bit more complex because the emphasis is gameplay first, then story. Now, modern age technology has been able to blend the two seamless together, but still,
Mm-hmm.
there's that difficulty of adapting something where the story doesn't come first, or the story does come first, but the gameplay enhances the story because you are vicariously living through your character in the game because that's the player experience. So it's there's consequences, there's choices. You're making choices. You're in the game. You're fully evolved into music, the setting. You're making choices. There's that personal experience between you and the game that you only have with that game. You
Right.
cannot get that same experience watching a film because there's a disconnect. You have no control over what's happening on the screen. You can only take
Right.
the vision and the direction that they set for you. So there's always that disconnect between a video game and a movie. So that's that bridge they got to connect for this shit to happen, man.
That's a fact and a half right there. Facts plus tax. Like prime example, right? So in Metal Gear Solid 3, and this is just Kojima doing whatever it was he was doing. Kojima literally made climbing up a ladder after a boss fight.
Mhm.
Climbing up a ladder after a boss fight is one of the best moments in the entire Metal Gear Solid Snake Eater game,
Mm.
because you go through this hardcore experience of going through this boss fight. You beat the boss. You climb up this ladder from the lower level all the way back up to the jungle, right?
Right.
As you're climbing up the ladder, in the background, all you hear are your footsteps on each rung of the ladder, matched by vocals of the theme song of the video game. That's a cinematic experience that is given to you as a player that you are literally creating. You're making it happen because of the action that you're doing by pressing the up button on the D-pad to climb up the ladder.
Yep. That's some real shit. That's that user interface. That's that player to gameplay experience that you can't replicate in the movie. And then that's the difficulty of adapting these video games
Right.
to other mediums that you don't have with a book, or you don't have with a comic book or a novel or a play. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
You're not meant to change or interact with that at all. You're meant to consume it, interpret it, reinterpret it if you even want to, and then that's it. But the
Right, right.
games is, yeah, you have control over it.
That
Yeah.
experience is tailored to you as the player. You're not able to experience that without playing through it, right? Like
Right.
I might feel a certain way about a scene or a moment or a part of a movie, but you might not feel the same way because you don't feel the same way about it, right? But
Right.
those experiences as a gamer are something that me and you can both agree on, because the
Hmm.
only way to get through that point is by having the controller in your hand.
Put into the game. You can't. You'd be like, wow, I put 40 hours in this. What a journey. You're not gonna get that same feeling watching a 2-hour film. You're not. It's gonna be hard to compress that experience into a 2-hour film on the screen that you have no control over.
Right.
So
Being said, then, with that being said, that's part of the reason why I think the streaming platforms more or less might be the best home or the best landing spot for the live action adaptation for some of these video games. That's what I think. Because the
yeah.
time and the investment of time might not be the same, but it's still an investment of time. It's an investment of time for me as a viewer, but it's also an investment of time from the people who are going ahead and putting it together.
Mm-hmm.
Every episode of every TV show that involves actors has writers, it has a director, it has a camera crew, it has all of these things that make it a cohesive piece of artwork. Whether it's good or bad, that comes out in the wash, but it's still an investment of time. Whereas, like you were saying, a 2.5 hour movie, even though that's a long time to be in a movie theater, that doesn't even come close to putting 40 hours into completing a video game 100%. There'll never be a live action version of a Grand Theft Auto. That'll never happen.
No.
You'll never get a live action version of a Red Dead Redemption. Like, that's something that's just not going to happen. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Even if you want to go to like Final Fantasy, these are RPG games like 50, 40 hours plus. How do you compress that in a 2.5 hour film? These games were like 3 or 4 discs.
Man.
I mean, even the newest one, they couldn't even do the whole game on one disc. They made a whole game off one part of the fucking game, bro. Like, we gotta wait 5, 10 years just to get the next 3 discs. It's 3 different games.
Oh, boy.
I'm not even
Like,
bullshitting, bro. But yeah, it's hard to self-contain a whole video game experience into an hour and a half to 2 hour film. And I think the streaming platform is a very wise choice to to get a similar experience so that they get their return on investment and people are strapped and ready to go. I think the exclusivity thing is a big thing with with the in the video game console war, and
Yep.
also in the streaming war, where you have only Sony only games streaming on one platform, and then Microsoft or Bungie games streaming on another platform. That's that type of shit where it really gets interesting and seeing who's pulling what, who's pulling whatever to try to make you say, I'm the clear winner here with all my content. And I think that's good for us.